Hey everyone, Alex here, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the launch by Blake, Zach, and the rest, and the launch of App Mafia and why it received the backlash that it had. This particular launch made them over 300,000 US dollars, but after looking at the comment section, doing my research and seeing what people were talking about, I believe this could have made a lot more. I believe this particular launch was not geared towards making money. It was them just making fun and then helping other people because these guys really make millions per month with their apps. And then maybe someone commented or a bunch of people have been reaching out to them about, hey, can we learn from you? And then they decided to partner up and then create this particular program. It was really, really controversial. And the first thing that you'll notice here, right here, up placed on the screen is these five guys here. So who are they? So these guys have so collectively they are making millions per year. They've been featured in multiple interviews. So here we have Zach, at 17 he was making 12 million per year. This guy was making 250 million at 25. Zach appeared on multiple apps. He even plugged his app in one of Mr. Beast videos. That's the cow AI, and he's making about 3 million per month. So who are they? So these guys, they're founders of cow AI, Twitter, NGL, Umax, Rich GPT, and more. Their apps make over 80 million in revenue, and they make about 25 million per year in profit collectively. Right? They don't need the money for this cause, but they decided to create it anyway. And yeah, so basically that's what's happened. And one of the things that's they mention in most of the cases, one of the things that they always say is they will never sell a course, right? They mention it on most of their videos. They mention it in some of the interviews that they already make the money that they have, and if it comes to it, do not sell any course. I'll talk about this later and why this matter, why this particular quote mattered. But one of the things I want to talk about is if you look at the interviews, this generates millions of views worldwide, they are known nationwide. People look up to them. And this particular interviews is being funneled down to their different funneled down to their social media handle. So their personal brand on YouTube, Twitter, that's X, and then they also have something called the content reward. I'll talk about these three pillars shortly. So the first pillar here is their YouTube channel. So after they get onto these interviews, they are being interviewed millions of dollars. They share their story. They share how they are creating this particular apps. They share how much people love their apps and the amount of downloads that they get. People become interested in who they are, and then it's been funneled down to their personal YouTube channel. I've added two here, but obviously they are five guys, so they also have different channels that they also own. But Blake here, Blake Anderson has 12,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel here. He's the founder of. He's also a co-founder of Cloud AI. So when I was doing my research and I saw that, I really didn't know that because I thought it was only Zach who was the founder, but it seems Zach is also a co-founder of Cloud AI. And what he does on his channel is he does these interviews with this guy, Roy Lee. If you know him, you also know that he's also another really, really controversial guy in terms of going as being as cringe as possible for the impressions. One of the things that these guys are playing is the impressions game. They are trying to get as much impressions as possible. They don't even care if they get a backlash or not. It's every attention. They take all this attention, they take all this backlash, and then they turn it into something profitable. So we'll see what happens. Then Zach also has his personal YouTube channel. Here he simply talks about he posts videos occasionally. So his personal YouTube channel where in the beginning he talked about the first video on his channel, he mentioned he's going to make millions, and then he left the channel for a while and then came back later on to just to make a post here about buying a Lambo at 18, then sponsoring a Mr. Beast video for his app that is called AI. And this then funnels to their Twitter their X account, right? So if you go to the App Mafia So you go to the App Mafia account on X, you see that they are being followed. They have this particular guys following them. So Jude, who is the creative, Caleb, Blake, obviously the co-founder as well, Hunter, who is also the co-founder, Zach, Mark, and then Alex. All these guys form the App Mafia team. And then we also have the content reward. So every time these guys, when they get onto any interview, especially any WAP interview, they have a lot of clippers clipping their content, making sure that they get as much views as possible. But again, that's going to be falling to any social media platform that they have. So in a normal sense, one of the content rewards, so let's say WAP is running the content reward, even though they are funneling people to their YouTube channel, that's WAP.io, it then still leads back to their personal channels here, right? So every attention that they get from all these interviews and from all this content is being funneled down here. So after they've gotten a lot of, after they've built the groundwork for years, they've provided value to the market for years, they decided to do something crazy, right? And the first step in doing that crazy thing is by launching the App Mafia. So they bought the badge on Twitter, and then and started inviting people. I didn't know about this. This guy, shout out to Diego. I was watching his breakdown of the launch, and he mentioned exactly what they did there, but they invited a lot of people to talk about what App Mafia is. So they invited um, people who were building applications, but who were building applications and had an audience. So they invited them as affiliates, and then they started talking about, started asking questions about what App Mafia. So if you look at this tweet here, you can see what is App Mafia. Yo, what is App Mafia? People were talking about it. This is just a screenshot, but there was a lot of people talking about this. So they were trying to create a cultural moment, right? So again, what is App Mafia? People were just they were trying to create as much hype as much as possible, um, trying to create a cultural moment. And anytime someone is trying to create a cultural moment, the first person that comes to mind is this guy, Anthony Poe. He does really well with cultural moments. He's the good when it comes to creating cultural moments, especially for the Gen Zs. And I believe if they stuck with him, this would have really gone really, really well, especially when it comes to creating cultural moments, making sure it stands for a very long time. And yeah, so they were trying to create a cultural moment, and it worked to an extent, but the negative side, the side effect of doing this and being as much controversial is the backlash that they got. So after they've done all this, so they decided to launch the course on August 17th. It didn't happen. They had to like shift it to August 20th or something. And when that happened, right? So August 23rd is when the course is live. So this particular video that they launched, it was really, really controversial. The step, as I mentioned, the rage bait, it was trying to get to be as much controversial as possible. It's like Ty Lopez, the video that he posted years back here in my garage. What you need is knowledge. That particular type of angle, that's what's like showing Lamborghinis, the mansions, and then the life, painting the dream, promising the dream to people, right? So this was exactly what they did, and it's really backfired. So again, if you go onto their page on X, they wrote it that step one is to be controversial. So that's exactly what happened. You can see people replies here. It says that I think this was a bad launch because the focus is how to achieve cars, mansion, money, etc., your lifestyle, rather than how to build successful mobile apps. That's your work. Switch that up, then I think it would be better achieved. Written for you, Zach. Why sell a course if you are already doing 3.6 million per year? And then he replied that, hey, we are doing 3.6 million per month. And then the one that really stood out to me is Sean Puri. I brought this up because Sean interviewed Zach a while ago, and he mentioned here that, hey, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. So that was a blow to these guys. Again, I believe they knew what they were doing. So if they knew what they were doing, then why not? Here it says that just some friendly feedback. This video comes across super Android style pitches, which is not great for credibility of the fancy cars, mansion, etc. So if you can pause the screen and read it. So it got bad to the extent that even Roy Lee had to do had to jump on the hype, had to jump on the trend. So cost life now 5,000 for 24 hours purely dot university, and then they got about 700,000 views. So they Riley is known to be someone who is also controversial. So when he saw the trend, he also jumped upon it, and he had this intense also create videos around that, right? So the first video went out, and it was going to this this funnel here. I'll be breaking down the funnel very soon. But let's go into the launches. So when they land this um video, I believe they left their they really weren't prepared after they launched the video. From from what I saw on the WAP channel, the day in a life, they they weren't prepared for some of the things during this launch, especially for the live webinar that they decided to host. And a lot of people talked about this. One of the comments here was, guys, this is extremely cringe, super unprepared, and complete money grab. I get that courses are high margin, but there are better ways to run this. I'm not saying courses are bad. The problem here isn't the course. The problem was in the execution of this. And from what people were talking about, if they did it better, it would have worked. But then that's like hindsight 2020. So no worries. Anything that works for them. So all this was being directed to this particular funnel. So if you look at the branding of this funnel, the first thing that comes to mind is they are targeting the younger generations. They are not really targeting people in their 30s or 40s. They are targeting 30s and below. So the color black and red works here because most of these pure young guys, we are always using applications in dark mode, right? So having the dark mode on here was like, okay, they are targeting the younger demographic, right? And if you come on here, it says App Mafia, learn how you can make millions building apps. Five young founders, 70 million in revenue, 300 downloads. Now we are showing you how to build profitable apps with AI and no coding required. Join the App Mafia. And then they had a VSL here. And according to past research, it was less than 10 minutes, very, very short. Didn't really go into details. When it comes to VSL, you want to take them through the journey of handling objections, adding social proof. Okay, this is what we are going to do. So hindsight 2020, being prepared with the VSL and also watching the the video that did they posted on WAP, the WAP channel, you can see that some of these assets, marketing assets that they were creating was during the launch. And if you look at Alex Moses launch, if you go through his process, you see that they prepared for the launch 2 years. So the planning was 2 years in making. But if you look at this, it was like, okay, we have the idea for this. Let's just execute it as fast as possible. And that's like something great when it comes to the younger generations getting the idea. Okay, we have the idea, then we launch. So instead of waiting for the perfect moment, they launch and then and waited to see what will happen. So here, tech billionaires have been um, gatekeeping tech billionaires have been gatekeeping you. And this is again, they are using languages that the younger generations will understand. One of the thing issues here is some of the text was really, really hard to see. You have to like scroll zoom in before you can see it. So the color scheme really could have been made better here. So if you look at this, it's very hard to read the text on the black screen. Then we have the founders here. So Zach, Cow AI, Blake. So they introduce Hunter, NGL, Connor, Twitter, and then Alex here. Then it goes into what they do. Again, very short, very short funnel, no, funnel here, and then they have some testimonials plus people that they've worked with. And then here they share exactly what you're going to have, right? So ideation, design, development, and then distribution. And that's all leads to two options. So option one was either you buy the high ticket at 5,000 US dollars or you buy the low ticket at 997 one-time payment. And one of the things that happened here was people bought, right? So people bought this particular one. So 67 um people bought this program at 5,000 US dollars, and that brought them about 330,000 US dollars in revenue, right? So that's exactly what they brought. But after they launched it, about a few days later, they did another they did something crazy. So step two here, after they've done everything, step two was then to give everything away for free. And this caused an outrage, especially for the customers. So this caused an outrage, especially for the customers who bought the course at 997 US dollars, because hey, we've paid for this and now you're giving it away for free. And one of the things I've seen when it comes to giving your course away for free, sometimes you have to wait for 1 or 2 years before you can say, hey, we've made money from this. It's now time to give it away for free. And for past clients who buy it, they don't feel the buyer's remorse and then do not refund, because they have the opportunity to learn everything as much as possible during these 2 years or 1 year, and then they've gotten the result that they want. But with this particular one, no sooner had the customers bought the course at 997, did they also release it to public um at $0. So there was a lot of confusion in the market. There was a lot of people didn't really knew what they were doing. And and yeah, so people didn't really know what they were doing. So once they launched the course for free, it sends you to this page here. And then again, the VSLs are super short, right? Are super short, 5 minutes or less. And this was recorded of the route. So or after they've launched. So this marketing asset was not prepared early on. They built it during the launch, and that's exactly what happened. And once you land on the page, you see this build an app, you see a VSL from Blake. Then you either choose one of these options, whether you want the PDF, the course, the community, or investment, which is going to be coming soon. One of the promises that they made was during the time that you're in the community, when it's time for them to invest in potential apps um, or partner up with some of these guys, it is something that they are looking towards in doing. So people also were interested in that. I believe that was something that took people over the edge. Hey, if they are willing to invest in what I'm doing, then why not, right? So when they launched the app, someone refunded, right? So it says that I paid this amount of money the launch day for the course, and so this amount of money is like tax included. And that's why it is 1,206.37. The original cost is 997. So this amount here is plus tax, right? And it says that the very next morning, it was given for free to everyone else. I'm still waiting for the full refund. They don't reply to my messages. I feel scammed and lost trust and respect. Again, as I mentioned, I believe some of the OGs in that space, I've really forgotten the name, but most of the OGs in that space, let's say some of the OGs like Gary Halbert, anytime they create a course, right, and then they've sold it for a long period of time, they wait for people to actually get the results. So anytime you launch a course and you want your customers to feel valued and feel treasured, they get the information that they have, they've implemented it, they've gotten the result, and then you've given them a time frame for them to use it. And at that um after that time frame, when you give it out, it doesn't really create friction or bias remorse. It doesn't create that feeling of being dejected, right? So what they did here was, again, something that could have I, I don't know why they did that, but maybe in one of their interviews they'll reveal that soon. But what they did really well was the onboarding process. So the onboarding process is where things really got interesting. So after you click on any of this, it leads you to this onboarding process where you'd have to like um, enter in a few details. You click on some links and some buttons, and then it sends data to the founders, and then it tells them exactly the people who are in their community, and then how to really be of value to them. And one of the things that I also heard during my research is they collected a lot of emails, but they really didn't use it during the launch process, right? So there was a lot of missing opportunities here. So after they launched the course for free, then all hell broke loose. It brought in about 25,049 members in here. A lot of people jumped onto the bandwagon to learn about how to build apps. I believe some of the people who were even talking trash are in here and who wouldn't if it is free, right? So 25,000 members in the course, right? And the people who bought the course started learning about what was going on. And then this guy, Brett, who is also in work, was also learning. And one of the things, if you jumped in the course, people find it extremely valuable. So there wasn't any the value in the course was exceptional. So the stance that they did was being varied by the value that people found in the course, and the real buyers started making posts about what they were learning, right? And someone also made a post that they would not learn from someone who is shirtless, and that's something that they did, right? Some of the if you get access to the course, you see that the most of the videos Blake and others were was shirtless. And again, as I mentioned, they are targeting the younger generation, so that doesn't matter. And another thing that also happened is now the app right now, the particular course is being ranked #1 on WOP. So this is going to be free traffic that's going to increase the amount of members that they have in their pre-community, and then that they can use later on if they want to push different products, right? So at the end of the day, they get free traffic sent to them, and they're able to do that. So if you so again, shout out to Diego. One of the recommendations that he gave was instead of them going this route, one of the things that they can do is they make them a free live training, a free webinar, or a free challenge for people who are interested in learning about them. So they can make it about 5 day free 5 day live training where they go through the exact same process, and then they sell a high ticket. That way, instead of making 330,000, they could have made 1 million, which was their goal in the beginning of this. But then again, we all learn from our mistakes, and I believe they'll come back higher again. So we that brings me back to this particular image that I told you about. So it says here that I'll never tell a cause. That was what broke everyone up because they promised early on that they were not going to sell any course. So why were they selling a course? And they explained the reason why. So if you are a coach or a creator and you make more than 20,000 per month and you need help building systems like this the right way, launch the right way, you can reach out to me via email or on Facebook, and I'm happy to chat with you. So thanks for watching, and God bless you and be a blessing.